Welcome back, everybody. We're getting ready for what's scheduled to be our last game of the day, but if Sanguine has anything to say about it, it will not be. I'm Aggro, this is Taco, and Taco, if the Poppies go 3-0 here, they're already almost guaranteed in, but if they lose this one to Sanguine, that would create a three-way tie at 2-1. So Poppies have to go 3-0 if they want to punch their guaranteed ticket into the SPL.
This has got to be it. It's been so many times over and over again where they've been this close and just like fallen short of the cusp, but I think that this is finally the Poppies' moment to shine. I
mean, they've looked great all day long. They've looked phenomenal. They've been the team that's looked better than any other in my mind. I mean, they take that victory over Optimus Gang earlier on that you see on the schedule there. And Optimus Gang has dominated both Sanguine and Novus Orsa. So if you're a believer in the transitive property, if Poppies dominated Optimus Gang and Optimus Gang dominated Sanguine, you would think that Poppies are going to win this game too, right?
I mean, the Poppies para sempre. That's all that it's going to be. Poppies for life, man. You got to just roll with it and hope for it.
Okay, thank you. I needed a quick translation there. We're getting ready to go. Picks and bans between the Poppies and Sanguine. Again, if Sanguine win this game, that would force a three-way tie, and then we play in tiebreakers between the Poppies, Sanguine, and of course Optimus Gang. But Poppies trying to end it right here and right now. Terra and Susano, the first two bans. That Susano ban from Sanguine, not necessarily for jungle. That could be for Warchi and Hunter.
It's just an excellent ban all around, though. Susano has so much mobility and control. We've seen it happen multiple times. The setup that he can provide for a team environment, you just don't want to have to deal with the mobility on top of the setup and damage.
He just does it all. He does everything you need out of a character. He's got CC, he's got damage, he's got mobility. He's everything you need in a character. Serket and Thoth, the other two bans. Poppies don't want Dark Dodo playing that in the mid lane here for Sanguine. So now they're waiting for their first selection, and it is going to be that Fafnir that's been prioritized all day long, basically. Here going to be the first pick for the Poppies.
Very strong presence already, just from the Fafnir pick alone on the side of the Poppies. So you can expect some early aggression to be their direction that they're trying to lean towards.
Sanguine still with 2 picks to go. That Keranos is going to be the selection there for Sanguine in the duo lane. Wait, one more here. Keranos has been banned away pretty consistently, but not consistently first picked, even when left open, and it's going to be the Robin. So Poppies had 2 very strong options there, went with the third and the Fafnir. Sanguine going to snatch up the other 2. It's a pretty good start here for Sanguine, Taco.
It's a very excellent start, and really the picks so far on both sides have been excellent display. I do like the Nemesis pick, considering that the Robin will most likely be leaning towards the jungle position. In EU, that seems to be the primary direction for the Robin to take up, is the Sunder, because of how much he can provide. Exactly,
putting him in the jungle and then putting another warrior in that solo lane and just really trying to pressure that entire right side of the map. Looks to be Sanguine's plan here. Sun Wukong going to be the selection right before the ban phase. Surprised that wasn't Osiris. That seems to be the most prevalent warrior to pair with that Robin, but with Bellona being locked in for the Poppies, maybe wanted something that can interrupt that bludgeon in lane. Vulcan going to be banned away. The Poppies mid laner had an excellent performance on that last time around, so a smart ban here from Sanguine. Do you like, I mean, I know you said you like this Nemesis pick, but I don't know, every game has been so early game oriented so far today. When we saw Nemesis earlier on, when she didn't get off to a great start, it can be very difficult to get back into the game.
It depends on what Poppies are planning to pair their mid lane and carry for. If Warchi were to opt for an early aggression Hunter, then you can definitely compensate for the Nemesis lack of early game pressure, especially when you have a mid laner or a Fafnir that can easily rotate in to help deal and mitigate some of that early game presence that he might be lacking.
Scylla going pure late game there for Sanguine, and I like that pairing with the Robin, who's there to carry that Scylla through the early game, and then hand the ball off whenever we get towards the late game. That's going to be the majority of the damage on Sanguine's roster past the first few minutes. Cupid, the selection here for Warchi, most likely, though we're still waiting on what is presumed to be the mid lane mage, though we have seen some mid laners pick up Cupid whenever they feel like it benefits them, but it is going to be the Poseidon in the mid lane there.
That is a ton of cripple and just crowd control in general on the side of the Poppies. And then you just have the Nemesis ultimately to burst down whoever it is that they manage to capture off guard. So positioning is going to be a major emphasis for Sanguine if they don't want to find themselves getting picked off, because all the Poppies really need is 1 or 2 picks. And that's more than enough for a team to secure objectives.
And Ymir going to be the last selection there. You want to talk about a support that gets caught out sometimes by cripples? Well, Ymir is the one. Now, Sanguine support Cherio is very, very comfortable on this. Ymir played it quite a bit during his time in the jungle even, but it's going to be tough for him to position well here. Sanguine trying to keep their summer split hopes alive and get back into the Pro League. The Poppies trying to finally break in to the SPL. This is their chance. All they have to do is win this one game up against Sanguine.
I feel like there's just so much hype surrounding the Poppies, especially right now, because again, they're just so close to finally breaking into where they've been trying to get into for the longest point in time. And I mean, you almost just want to give it to like Warchi, Dalo, and Oho Boom like immediately, just because how long they've been trying.
Yeah, I mean, this is a team that a lot of people in the Twitch chat I know are all about. They've got quite the fan base coming out of Spain, and you love to see how much energy they bring. Gorgonzola in a lot of trouble in the mid lane. Could be an early first blood here for the Poppies, and Creed secures it around the backside. The solo laner assists and gets the kill. The Poppies off to a good start.
And the lack of a ward from Sanguine, despite the fact that this has been a pretty popular start, especially in EU, for the solo laners to just wrap around so casually into that mid lane. That's an easy first blood every single time if they're too far pushed up.
Yeah, I'm shocked more teams aren't just buying wards and putting them on the backside. I mean, it's not, I know it doesn't feel good to lose 100 gold in the early game, but supports usually aren't spending their entire early starting bank on pots. And yes, it technically delays your sovereignty or Mark of the Vanguard or whatever you're buying right after your boots, but man, it really hurts to give up that first blood in that mid lane. Gorgonzola on this Raven jungle, it's entirely designed to get ahead, right? And now we got first blooded.
What's even worse is because of Gorgonzola falling in the mid lane there, he fell to Bellona. Of all the gods in the game you wouldn't want to fall to early on and give a first blood up, having Creed with that extra 400 gold in hand is not only going to allow him to establish an even bigger presence in this solo lane, but I can expect that Sanguine won't be seeing buffs anytime soon on that side of the jungle either.
No, that's going to be the big key, is how well can Sanguine defend their buffs on that right-hand side. Something to keep an eye on moving forward. And you're right, Creed has looked very, very strong out of the solo lane, and can't really say the same for Alexi. Has really struggled for the most part today, and when you give up a first blood, like you mentioned, to a Bellona in that lane, in a lane matchup that you already don't really expect to get the better end. Yes, Sun Wukong can interrupt the bludgeon, but Bellona can just level the Scourge and is not really worried about getting her bludgeon interrupted because she still gets those cleave auto attacks right afterwards anyways. Alexi
has seemed like somebody who's really just let his confidence get the better end of him. He's made some really excellent plays in a 1v1 matchup in the goal lane, but he's forgetting about the fact that there's still 4 other members involved in a team, and he seems just so susceptible to ganks at times where you wouldn't want your solo laner getting picked. Either way,
Sanguine still trying to weather the storm basically. Down 0-1 in kills, that first blood going Creed's way in the mid lane. Who are you really looking at to be Sanguine's hope here? Is it Dark Dodo in the mid lane on that Scylla?
It would probably be Boss, if anything, as the Kern in the dual lane. It's so easy for a hunter like this to just snowball out of control. And then when you combine that with the setup potential that Cherio could possibly provide, as well as Dark Dodo's damage, should this Scylla reach the mid to late game stage, I think it's really going to be on the Boss here to lock down these kills for Sanguine to ensure that the Poppies don't just completely roll over with their crippling combination.
Well, Boss has gone for a little bit of a different start than a lot of hunters go for. He's gone for Bluestone on the Kernanos, which we sometimes see, but also sometimes see the Death Toll on this character, and then this Health Chalice. Do you like this route that Boss is going early on?
I actually had a lot of discussion with Ataraxia about the Health Chalice when he was here for the Masters LAN, and he loves it so much because having the 3 health pots every single time you refresh and then come back into the lane, it helps to deal with a lot of the early game pressure. And Cupid, in all honesty, can be one of those hunters that's difficult to deal with.
Ultimate there onto Cherio, waiting for the Kraken, but he waits it out. Cherio uses an Aegis to get himself out of it, and Gorgonzola gonna find the kill there. Creed does finally clean up Cherio. Speed buff on the ground. Looks like it may have been secured by the Poppies there as Creed forced to run away after a good slow crush combination. 1 for 1, but it's Ojo Boom falling for the Poppies and Cherio for Sanguine. So slight victory there for Sanguine in terms of who killed who, but that speed buff going the Poppies' way means the blue team's up on top again.
I don't think that Ojo Boom was expecting that damage so early on, but that is one of the things that Amir can be pretty notorious for, is just how much his damage and his ultimate, the slow especially, really capturing Poppies inside of that tight zone.
Well, I really do like, I mean, this is the second time we've seen Cherio go for Aegis on a support, and in the first game on the Ares, it didn't make a ton of, like, I kind of got where he was coming from, but I didn't really think it was the best option for him. That time the Aegis turns that entire fight around for Sanguine because Cherio Aegis is out the Kraken from Ojo Boom, and then is able to get the return damage onto him in order to secure that kill for Sanguine. If Cheerio just gets gobbled up by that Kraken very, very quickly in that engagement, Poppies probably snowball throughout and keep Ohoboom alive. Smart play there, and while it may pay off this time, it's a matter of how often can Cheerio get value out of that Aegis, because if I'm the Poppies, I'm saying, okay, we're just not hitting Cheerio with Kraken anymore. We're done with that. It's time to hit different targets.
It's a consideration factor. We pointed it out at the get-go when we saw the Nemesis pick coming through, and then we saw the Amir as the final selection for Sanguine. You kind of expect the Amir to be the target focus. Yeah. Every single time you know that you can just immediately Nemesis ult, and then that's a free Kraken. But if you have the Aegis, I mean, you don't really anticipate the enemy support to build an Aegis. So it might have also been a potential oversight by the Poppies to not really anticipate Cheerio to have that available.
Certainly. I mean, it's one of those scenarios where you could hit that Kraken on him, and he's like, wait, why didn't he take any? He has Aegis? What? Who buys Aegis? And Cheerio's just there laughing because, you know, he didn't take a lot of damage from that Kraken. Either way, the Poppy's still in control a little bit, specifically on that right side of the map. That was that first rotation of buffs that you were looking for. Did you like the response there from Sanguine, or do you think they could have maybe taken that fight a little better?
I think that considering that it was the Poppies who were the initial aggressors, that was probably the best case scenario response that Sanguine could have allowed. Just considering that they even traded it out evenly 1-for-1 in a very unfavorable situation, I think that they should be very happy with how that engagement played out.
Getting ready to go back in game here. Scheduled last day of the game here, or game of the day, I should say, between Poppies and Sanguine, but if Sanguine win this one, then they're going to be able to force that three-way tiebreaker. So Poppies want to make sure they secure their spot in the SPL with a victory here.
I don't think Poppies are looking to cut it close this time. They've had way too many moments where they've lost it being in that, is it possible, is it not? And I think that they just want the green light all the way. And
look at what Alexi's gone for here. Instead of going for any boots, he falls behind early. He also picked up a Bumba's Mask to try and secure his own jungle. Hold that thought. Cheerio didn't have Aegis that time, and Draco's going to be able to confirm that kill after the double ultimate between the mid and jungle. Boss on the run. Nowhere for him to go either. Dalo gets the kill number 4 for the Poppies. 2 easy picks on that left-hand side, and now they turn their attention to the Gold Fury. Dark Dodo and Gorgonzola are both here, and Dark Dodo has an I'm a Monster ultimate, playing patiently, waiting for it over the wall. Use the Sentinel to get in range as Gorgonzola distracts him on the backside. Pretty split here from the Poppies, Taco.
But there's nothing that Dark Dodo can do. The Poppies have already leashed the Gold Fury, and now Dark Dodo's actually on the run as Dalo just jukes out everything by Dodo.
Dalo just had so much confidence there. He was not worried about that I'm a Monster at all. The quick reaction, getting the jungler out of danger there. The Poppies get both ultimates on cooldown from Gorgonzola and the Dark Dodo, but it does stop them from doing the Gold Fury, so Sanguine do their job and don't lose too much after losing 2 members on the left.
Did you notice how close that Gold Fury was to dying, by the way? Had the Poppies not reset that, Dark Dodo would have definitely had a very strong possibility of stealing, but the Coer's buff on that Fafnir is really coming to play, and it's only 7 minutes and counting.
Yeah, that was a very quick Gold Fury burn, but I like the decision, as you mentioned, to just drop it quickly from the Poppies, showing that they're working together as a unit, and once the call is made, there's not a lot of hesitation there. The whole team following up very quickly in that instance. Creed taking this 2v1. Dalo wanted to back, doesn't even have Boots 3 quite yet. It's been quite some time since he's backed, so no blue buff invade this time around for the Poppies.
And I think that this is probably the safer decision by the Poppies. You don't need to overextend in this circumstance. You know that the Robin is available and ready to help back up Alexi on the Stone Wukong, and that's already safe enough secure onto a blue buff to really deter any pressure by Creed or Dalo.
Ohoboom and Draco Marino over here on the left-hand side trying to secure these Oracles. Warchi is coming around the back, but both Oracles go Sanguine's way. Warchi going to put a little bit of poke into Boss, so he can poke him out a little bit more in lane even. In fact, even used that Fields of Love recently, but no Purification beats to show for it, so a little bit off the mark that time around for Warchi on this Cupid. Poppy's taking this game pretty slowly at this stage. They're up 3 kills, about 2,000 gold as well. That experience difference right around the gold difference, right around 2,000 gold and experience. So Poppies just willing to take this one a little bit more slowly. Their mid game is pretty strong, Taco, but their late game, is it as strong as Sanguine's with Boss and Dark Dodo both playing characters that do very well in the late game?
All they need late game is for the Nemesis ultimate and the Kraken to land every single time. If that happens, it doesn't really matter necessarily who's got the more favorable late game gods, such as the Scylla with the Crush, for instance. But they're going to be able to just kill whoever they go on.
Oh,
and
boom.
Kill.
In trouble. The Sunder came out there from Gorgonzola. Dark Dodo trying to chase him down, but he's going to eat a Kraken. Oh, boom will fall to the Sick'em Crush combo. Now Dalo in a little bit of trouble, forced to use his Purification Beads as he escapes underneath the tower. Good pick there for Sanguine, catching the mid laner for the Poppies in the wrong spot.
4 division was just in favor of Sanguine. You can see it's right there on the outskirts of the laning. And so for Boom, the direction he was trying to cut in from the jungle, just unfavorable for him. And just, I don't think he was expecting that slightest.
Quick Sunder from Gorgonzola, the big difference maker there in my mind as well. Just immediately used it. Warchi trying to get the beats out of Boss. Boss just gonna stand there and take the damage, but does use his Wild Hunt to deter any additional chase from Warchi, so didn't necessarily get what he wanted in the Purification Beads, but trading ult for ult, not so bad for the Cupid in that scenario.
Eliminating Boss's ultimate is still really important because if the Poppies were to look for another Gold Fury aggression, they won't have to worry at least about the Wild Hunt being available. But the Poppies might also just look to slow play this one out, considering that Draco Marino, while he has his ultimate available, it's kind of risky just trying to bum rush a Gold Fury straight up against Scylla.
Especially without that team fighting ultimate like Fields of Love and without the Kraken quite available yet for Boom, who should get it soon enough. Creed has done a great job of pushing his lead on this right-hand side. Look at his net worth, up 1,000 gold over Alexi at this stage in the game. Dalo really playing with fire there. He didn't have his Purification Beads. That stun hits from Cherio, that could be a dead jungler, but able to get out of danger and just farm it up.
Getting out of danger and farming it up is pretty much not going to be the case for Alexi, as Creed is looking to go in entirely. He's got the bludgeon completely secured, and now the 1 damage. Is it going to be enough? He just needs 1 more auto.
Make that 2. Creed still chasing him down. You make that 3. Creed still chasing him down. Finally finds it with the bludgeon. My man just tanked 57 tower shots, and Gorgonzola still needed to be there to clean it up. Alexi gets soloed, but buys enough time to get his jungler over in order to make the rotation. Sanguine, they're probably going to be happy with that one, Taco, just because Creed was worth a lot more gold than Alexi was at that stage in the game.
100%, and the fact is, Alexi just bought so much time for Gorgonzola to make the rotation over to pick up the kill onto Creed. Just too much of a ring around the rosy.
Now on the left side, Boss in some trouble once more. Wild Hunt came back up in response to that Fields of Love. Draco makes the transformation. Dark Dodo shows up, and now Warchi in trouble. Uses the Purification Beads to get out of the ultimate from Dark Dodo. Dash comes up just in time to save his life against Cherio as Creed teleports in around the back. No ultimate for the solo laner. Still going to put a lot of damage into Cherio. There's a stun potential coming out of Warchi. Does he have the stacks? No, not going to get stunned there from Cherio. None from Draco Marino either. And all of the Poppies forced to retreat as they are low and no ultimates available.
I appreciate that disengage by the Poppies because I think if this had been the Poppies from a year or 2 ago, they would have 100% tried to dive that tower and potentially all wipe for it with Sanguine coming out on top. The discipline that the Poppies had there to Bellona ultimate away rather than in and look for the pick onto Cherio and the possible follow-up is just so excellent of gameplay.
Warchi the first one in and the first one out. Dark Dodo gonna find the kill onto him. He does get credit for Cherio courtesy of that Heart Bomb as Dalo chases down the Dark Dodo. Around the backside, Gorgonzola found the kill onto Draco Marino, and now it's a 3v3 brawling here. Boom has that Kraken, waiting to go. Alexi ready to go with the Summer Cloud as well. No continual engagement, so 2 for 2. The Poppies and Sanguine going back and forth in this one, Taco. Sanguine definitely look like they look a little bit better against this Challenger Cup team in comparison to how they played against Optimus Gang.
I would 100% agree with that, but Cherio doesn't have an Aegis available now, and I'm certain that Boom's aware of it, but he's got his Kraken, so Cherio needs to be especially careful with his positioning, otherwise he's going to find himself in some very unfavorable scenarios.
So, yeah, Cherio already 0-3-3 and just has not been able to survive even with the use of that Aegis. It just bought him a moment in that last engagement, not enough to save his life as that Heart Bomb was just waiting and ticking down on him. Warchi sacrifices himself for the greater good in that last engagement. The Oracle Vision was there for Sanguine, so there's no way for Poppies to sneak that Gold Fury away from them. It was all a designed bait, but Warchi seemed to be the only one who was really into the idea of fighting in that scenario.
But Warchi was also one who was able to pick up a kill thanks to the Heart Bomb on the Cupid, which is incredibly important because had he just died there without any sort of trade out, that would have certainly put him behind Boss in the ADC favor, but considering he was able to get that kill, he still managed to stay just slightly ahead of Boss.
Portal Demon goes down in the Poppies' favor. Another objective goes their way. Gorgonzola in a bit of trouble, but used the overhead kick to immune the stun coming out of Draco Marino. As the Poppies very, very calculated, as you mentioned, they're not really going for these high-risk, high-reward plays. It's been all pretty, they're only going for things that are guaranteed, and as a result, they're up about 2,000 gold, 2 kills as well, 14.5 minutes in, 7-5. The Poppies' experience lead has started to dwindle, though, as Sanguine gets a little bit closer to that late game for both the Dark Dodo and Boss, and Alexi has kind of stabilized that solo lane as well.
Right now, it's hardly a 2K gold lead, which doesn't really make a significant impact at 14.5 minutes. Draco Marino taking a little bit too much poke from Dodo, though.
Gorgonzola can't find the route onto this Fafnir, and now the transformation is on. Gorgonzola forced to ult away, but the Kraken was waiting for him. Dalo finds that kill. Eagles rally goes in from Creed, trying to catch anyone out right in front of their tower. The rest of Sanguine stands and watches as the Poppies go filtering into the jungle. Cherio looking for a wall to cut them off. Finds 4 with that one. 3-man freeze from him as well. Wild Hunt comes through. I'm a monster, not enough to find a reset. The rest of the Poppies forcing into the mid lane as Dalo finds a kill into Dark Dodo. Alexi finally answers back for Sanguine, but it's a 2-for-1. The Poppies group up and almost get punished, but still not enough damage out of Sanguine to really make them pay.
And this is so... not necessarily greedy by the Poppies, but Sanguine need to be especially careful trying to pressure in. And Alexi, he's looking for it. He wants Warchi so much.
Great knockback there from Oho Boom. Not enough to finish off Alexi, but he still comes down and finds the kill with the Jingu Bang onto Warchi. Dalo makes him pay for it. 5-0 and 4 for the jungler, for the Poppies. But Sanguine, solo laner, sacrifices his own life for that of Warchi. Dalo, 5-0 and 4 though, Taco. That is scary stuff right now if you're Sanguine.
I think that Alexi's sacrifice there made that entire engagement not worth it, considering that the kill went to Dalo. That's the last character that you want picking up the extra golden experience from the most farmed member of your team. So now for Dalo to get that additional little boost, it's going to be incredibly difficult for Sanguine to try and shut down this nemesis. Creed's
gonna get the first tower of the game on the solo side. 500 gold goes the Poppies' way. Creed's actually fallen behind in experience to Alexi, even after that first blood and the solo kill in that lane. Alexi's done a nice job of trying to get himself back into this one, but as you mentioned, punished in that last engagement by Dalo, who we've been talking so much about, can Sanguine get the Dark Dodo and Boss into the late game? Well, Dalo's getting himself into the late game right now, and as you mentioned, that could be all the Poppies need in the late game.
Plus, Creed doesn't really need to be on par with Alexi as far as farm is concerned. He's a Bellona. All he wants to do is spam his 2 and press W at the enemy team and base tank all of their damage.
And he's got quite a bit of health right now. Cherio forced to use his ultimate as he's caught out of the position once more. Cherio trying to stay alive after the Nemesis ultimate, but cannot do so. Oho Boom with his first kill of the game puts himself on the board. Boss coming around the left-hand side, transforms multiple members with that Wild Hunt, but he's the one getting hunted now. Warchi gonna find his second kill, evening up his scoreline. Alexi in the front side trying to deal with the mid laner. Has this option to sacrifice himself again as Gorgonzola blinks in and ults. The Sunder is the one to find the kill as Dark Dodo finds 2 with that Root Crush combination. Draco's gonna knock down Gorgonzola. 4 still alive here for Poppies. 3-for-1 in their favor in terms of kills, and now once more, for what feels like the millionth time, the Poppies gonna try to go for the Gold Fury.
The Poppies have been trying to get this Gold Fury for the past 4 or 5 minutes, and now with the Coerce buff available on the Fafnir, it seems as though this might be their chance to secure it. Dodo, though.
Oh, close. It was almost Sanguine's courtesy of Dodo, but Poppies somehow secure it over the crush damage. Dalo notches his 6th already, 14 in total for the Poppies. Gold Fury does go the way of the Spanish challengers, now up 14-8 in kills and 6,000 gold.
And 13 of those kills, guess who's been a part of them? Dalo.
If I had to guess, I'd say Dalo. Yeah. We've been
it's
saying his
insane.
name a lot. We've been saying his name a lot. Cherio trying to make Warchi and Draco pay for pushing up to that left side tower, but after the freeze misses and the wall isn't effective, the duo lane for the Poppies is going to be able to back to base and spend the goal that they've worked so hard to earn.
And now, with the little bit of a lead that Poppies has been able to garner for themselves, before what was initially 2K has now extended to a little bit less than a 5K gold disparity between the Poppies and Sanguine. And that's actually incredibly important because that little bit of extra item is just going to take Poppies over the edge.
Dark Dodo uses his beans to get out of the Kraken from Oho. Boom. Creed is the focus as Gorgonzola dies, but doesn't have his Sunder to strip away those protections from the tanky solo laner. Alexi gonna eat some damage after being stuck in the Whirlpool after a nice hammer from Draco Marino. Sanguine, they're the ones with the power play for now around this Portal Demon, but with Warchi starting to come back and now a teleport coming in from Creed, the Poppies gain enough confidence to be the ones to start up this objective once more.
Poppies are looking to just strip away every part of map objectives as they can, because not only will that give them immense amounts of map pressure, but it's going to be so difficult for Sanguine to try and come back.
Cherio locked in place. Good knock up there out of Alexi as Cherio falls to the hands of Warchi. Alexi in a bad spot now. I'm a monster over the wall, does some good damage, but not enough to find the reset. Coerce Buff hits a couple there from Draco Marino. Alexi again diving in off of that somersault cloud, but the Poppies just reset. They've got that portal to heal up, spend some gold, and come right back through and continue to put the pressure on the Sanguine.
And Sanguine, without a healer this time around for Dark Dodo, he's been connecting so many of his ultimates. He's landed onto 2-3 members, but there's just not enough follow-up at this for Sanguine, and because of that, they're just falling so far behind onto team fights.
Yeah, these ultimates have been pretty solid thus far from Dark Dodo, as you mentioned, but the damage just, it hasn't been onto the targets that are low, and it's because the targets that are low are usually so far in the back line because of the composition that Sanguine has drafted. There's no way for Dark Dodo to really get to Oho Boomer Warchi if those are the dive targets. Plus the fact that Dalo is 6-0 and 8, has a massive immune and a stone cutting sword and just running around, you know, doing whatever he wants and also doing a million damage at the same time.
Even when Oho Boom has been picked, it still hasn't made the engagement favorable for Sanguine just because of how much damage Dalo and Warchi are still able to exert.
Sanguine want to take this fight. There's a double ultimate onto Cherio again, and he's going to be the first one to fall once more. Draco in trouble here. I'm a monster. This time finds the reset. Dark Dodo has another shot. Warchi just able to dash out of danger after cleaning up Alexi. 2 for 1. The Dark Dodo knows that he just missed an opportunity by the skin of his teeth. Now the re-engage happens. Warchi falling low to Gorgonzola, who's completely out of mana, as Creed does a beautiful job of forcing away both damage dealers, leaving Gorgonzola all alone, and Oho Boom's gonna claim that kill for himself.
Every single time it seems like one of these abilities should be connecting onto a member of the Poppies for the cleanup, it's just falling so short, and the Poppies are escaping by the skin of their teeth. And now with the T1 falling in the dual lane side, this opens up T2 aggression, and on top of that, Poppies are going to be able to back and be ready for the next Gold Fury respawn.
That was so close to turning in Sanguine's favor there. I mean, Dark Dodo misses Warchi by 2 frames. Like, he's just able to get that dash off and get out of that I'm a monster reset. Cherio, again, this Aegis has not helped him enough in my mind. I mean, he gets the shell now that he's level 13, but he's already died 6 times. And again, I don't think it's necessarily Cherio's fault. I think it's whoever said, hey, Ymir would be a good pick here. That's probably who is to blame for this amount of focus onto the support. How do you get away from Nemesis Alt Kraken, even with Aegis?
Cherio is an excellent player, and by all means, his mechanics are on point. So if somebody were to make this pick work into a Nemesis and Poseidon, I wouldn't look at Cherio and think, this guy can't do it. He is more than capable, I think, of having made it work. It's just that the Poppies have been even better with their executions on the combo, that it just makes somebody like Cherio look like they had no idea what they were doing. But it's just been excellently played by both sides, and if anything, I would have preferred to see the shell onto Cherio in the first active slot, because at least then his team could have the follow-up after he were to fall. There's
a stun onto Draco Marino. Again, Cherio the focus, uses the Aegis, and the Kraken was weighted beautifully there by Oho Boom. The patience is perfect there. 1 kill, it's on a Cherio, and immediately the Poppies go for their second Gold Fury of the game. Boss not gonna get here in time. The Poppies extend their gold lead up above 12,000 gold. Boss in a lot of trouble, has no dash available. The Wild Hunt was already used as Dalo just chunking him down with the autos. Oh, boom, notches another kill for himself as Creed's going in on this right-hand side, trying to find the kill 1v3. Finally, Sanguine are going to be able to clean him up. Alexi almost evening his scoreline, 3, 4, and 5 for the solo laner. A little bit too much there out of Creed, but the Poppies doing whatever they want on the rest of the map.
A lot of style coming out from Creed throw. Because of his ultimate, he stunned out Dark Dodo long enough to not only back out of the Scylla too and escape all of that crush damage, but he even popped the Sunder. And if Alexi hadn't shown up there, it's hard to say what would have happened.
Gotta respect the aggression, I suppose, for Creed. There was something there that I just think
it's asserting your dominance.
Yes, yeah, that's the one. Just saying I'm not scared, even if I should be scared. Poppies doubling Sanguine in kills right now, 20-10. They continue to try and take the fight in the enemy jungle. I want to go back to this pick, because this Ymir pick, because I think game one that we saw today between Sanguine and Optimus Gang was really picks and bans dictated it. Yes, Optimus Gang played beautifully, particularly their jungle on the Thor. That was really good play from them, but the picks and bans from Sanguine I don't think were on point, and I think you could say the same this time around. That last pick, Ymir, has been a real thorn in Sanguine's side. It just allowed the Poppies to basically feed off of this immobile Guardian and just get the objectives because of it. Now Alexi's forced into that Somersault Cloud. Good wall and Wild Hunt combination out of Cherio and Boss, but the rest of the Poppies really didn't take a lot of damage, just a little bit of crowd control. Alexi's going to be able to get out of danger, courtesy of that 72 transformations, as Creed handles Dark Dodo in that mid lane. He's going in for him once more here, Taco.
And this time around, though, it's going to be Dark Dodo who gets Nemesis ulted, forced to Aegis, and back off entirely. He's in the Scylla ultimate trying to escape, but the rest of his team is just falling victim to the Poppies.
I'm a Monster just barely misses once more. Now, oh, boom, just going in on this team fight. He already found Alexi on the right, finds Cherio in the mid. Dalo cleans up Dark Dodo around his own Phoenix as the tier 2 tower continues to pound into Warchi. Finally, Poppies are able to take that one down, 3-0. The Poppies find 3 more kills, another objective as well. Oh, boom, just had free reign in that team fight. They left him alone. Alexi couldn't handle him, and then he comes in and cleans up in mid as well.
The entirety of Sanguine just had to fall back so quickly. As soon as Dodo was Nem ulted and forced into his Aegis, he was just on the run from then on. And because of that, using your Scylla ultimate defensively, which has been the main damage dealer for your team, what's Sanguine going to do? There's nobody who's really exerting any damage. Boss got a 4-man Wild Hunt onto the Poppies, and it did nothing.
It was all defensive, as you're mentioning, these ultimates that are so good when you're chasing the enemy team. Not quite as good when you're using them to get away. Fire Giant started up now by the Poppies, already toast. This thing's already gone. All 5 members with it. Gorgonzola boxing Creed, but the tanky solo lane are getting better of the jungle warriors. Gorgonzola forced to use that Mystic Rush just to get away from the Fields of Love from Warchi. Slight win there for Sanguine that they don't have to worry about that Fields of Love for the time being, but I don't know if that's enough of a win to defend their Phoenix.
And you brought it up again, and it was the Mir pick, and you're just like, I'm not certain what the mindset was behind this. The Ymir was probably to try and wall off the Cupid and the Nemesis, the isolation factor for the Scylla. And now, speaking of isolation, Cherio able to immune the Kraken, but it might not be good enough for Warchi in the backline.
He's trying to get away from the 2 warriors who are chasing him down. Meditation comes out from Draco, saving Warchi's life for the moment. Alexi finally going to stomp him down, but Dalo returns with one onto Gorgonzola of his own. 1-for-1 thus far. The Poppies continue to try to siege down this right side Phoenix. Losing your Hunter as well as your primary sustain out of that Cupid Hearts is a big blow, and it's enough to force the Poppies off the Phoenix. Good job there by Sanguine to get into the backline and force Warchi out.
Definitely like the decision-making by the Poppies as well, recognizing that without Warchi, it's just going to be too dangerous to go into the melee range of the Phoenix. Somebody else will probably die, if not a potential team wipe, and for that to happen, Sanguine still have a roster that, or a draft, I should say, that can definitely fight back into a game if they're given the opportunity to do so.
A little bit longer for Dark Dodo to become super effective in this one. Starting to become effective. He's level 17, should be very, very close. 2 levels away from maxing out that Sentinel, and then once he hits 20, another power boost once he maxes out his ultimate. Starting to work on that route up to Tahuti. I like this double penetration sort of build that he's gone for. Basically every item, he's got 4 penetration items if you really look at it. All 4 of those items have some available to them, but is lacking in just the outright power department thus far. That's what the Ratatouille is going to be there for.
And with that Ratatouille online, his crutch is already hitting Warchi for half of his health bar. So with the Ratatouille, he might potentially be looking to just completely chunk away so much of the carry's health that it would deter the Poppy from trying to find that super aggressive, all-in, chase-down fight stance that they've been taking up all game long.
The Poppies are almost there, Taco.
This is almost the closest they have ever been to just securing themselves into the SPL, and really this game is entirely in their hands.
It's their game to win right now, without a doubt. Sanguine, they need to hope that the Poppies make a mistake or two in order to let them back into this game. Left side Phoenix Siege begins as the Poppies push up their wave. Creed handling Alexi and Gorgonzola on the right. Watch those 2 warriors going to the backside, and there's the ultimate again on to Cherio, who's already toast. Warchi gonna notch his 7th in this game. Gorgonzola fires off the Sundered, is trying to handle that back line, but cannot do so effectively. Creed has done a great job of forcing everyone else out, and that creates enough space for the Phoenix to fall. Oh, boom. Chase Boss all the way into his fountain. Left side Phoenix, mid Phoenix, both gone. Only the right side Phoenix remains.
And the Fafnir buff is just absolutely insane. These Phoenixes don't stand a chance against the onslaught of the Poppies.
1 more Phoenix to go, and they find it. There's a stun on to Gorgonzola. No ultimate available for him as Warchi continues to try and lead his team into the SPL. I'm a Monster doesn't do enough. The Poppies have all 3 Phoenixes down, and the Titan gets poked out, but the Poppies reset. They don't have a lot left on that Fire Giant, only about 20 seconds. Warchi doesn't even have it himself. He perished on that right side. The Poppy's gonna play it safe.
This is like toying with your food. It feels as though they're playing with their food right now, but I respect the decision to be as safe as possible to ensure that absolutely nothing goes wrong for the Poppies. This is it. They really just they just need this win.
They're right there. They are right there. Optimus Gang, you know, was rooting for the Poppies as well, because if they win this game, it would be the Poppies and Optimus Gang moving on. I believe this is the first time that we may see the 2 Challenger Cup teams move into the SPL and knock out 2 SPL teams.
It would certainly be the very first time that 2 Challenger oppositions would take up the mantle and knock out not only the SPL competition, but just secure themselves in it as well.
This is exciting times. We talk about it all the time, that the competitive scene of Smite has never been better in terms of where the teams are in relation to one another and how competitive it can all be, and they just continue to prove us right. And these Challenger Cup teams really showing up here so far for Europe. Excited to see if the North American Challenger Cup teams can do the same tomorrow.
It also goes to show that as an SPL team, you can never really be content with your slotting, because at any point in time, these Challenger teams are willing to step it up.
Yeah, I mean, it used to be where even the bottom SPL teams that don't really, you know, they may not even get a victory during the regular season, then they go into relegation and just stomp on these Challenger Cup teams. And you could say, you know, it always was, oh man, look at the gap between the SPL and even the top Challenger Cup. You know, these teams really need to get to work. Well, the work is done. They've punched their time cards and they put it in, and they're really looking good thus far. The Poppies have 1 more siege to go before they finally break the curse and get into the SPL. Creed, the first one in on that right-hand side. All of the Poppies playing this very patiently, waiting for these fire minions to get into the base.
They will no longer be the relegation gatekeepers if they are to secure this win, and here it goes. The Poppies are looking to end it all. Fafnir buff immediately, and the Titan is done.
The Poppies have done it. Welcome to the SPL, Warchi and crew. Congratulations to them and Optimus Gang. Commiserations to Sanguine and Novus, both SPL teams. They're going to the Challenger Cup.
They're going to the Challenger Cup, and whether or not they'll have the same success that Optimus Gang and the Poppies have, working their way from Challengers up into the SPL, it's hard to say, but Poppies with a clean 3-0 victory.
And it never really looked in doubt. I mean, Sanguine gave them a pretty solid game here in that one, Taco, but it was still the Poppies in control for the majority of this one. And these 2 teams, they really looked good. Optimus Gang, their only loss to their Challenger Cup teammate, or, you know, people, basically. That's the word I was looking for. It wasn't. I just totally lost my train of thought there. I'm excited, man. The Poppies have finally done it. F-Dot has got to hold that one. He's gonna be casting them all summer long in the summer SPL.
It's going to be an exciting SPL split. I know that there's quite a few EU teams who have really been looking forward to having the Poppies finally make their way into the SPL as well. So now that they're finally there, it's time to see if the Poppies can compete with the rest of them. That's
right. That's going to do it for us here today for EU relegations. Make sure you stick around, though, because we got Paladins relegations coming up right after this. And then, of course, tomorrow, we get to see the NA teams to see who's going to the summer split of the SPL. Thank you so much for watching with us today, from all the casters here to the production in the back to everyone here at hi-rez. Thanks for watching. We hope you stick around for some Paladins.